Hello everyone, this is Tracilyn, also known as VCAT. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Good night if you're getting ready to go to bed. Maybe I'm speaking to you when you're getting ready to lay down. Or did you just wake up and have your morning coffee? I have a few notes of updates that I would like to share with you and some personal insight of my thoughts, my feelings on the circumstances at hand. This is my hope, is to have closure with my entire life journey from October 19th, 1972 in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, all the way up to 2000 and now 19. I'm not sure of the exact date. I should have my phone here somewhere. Ta-da! Let's see what it says. It is 11:18 on Thursday, January 10th. The funny thing is, my birth number is 1. I think that's why I liked it generally so much as a child. Well, I have learned that because of that car specifically, my favorite color was orange. I made that declaration between the age of 3 and 6 in Jonestown, Pennsylvania. But later years, since coming out and dealing with my personal identity, I realized that I really loved purple throughout my life. I started to become more attracted to it. With that being said, this also marks very close, about a month away yet, 1 month, it'll be 10 years that I ended up coming out here to Dayton, Ohio because of a tragedy that happened in connection with a whole series of things that I've been through throughout my life that brought me to the George Washington Bridge, where I screamed out in a cry to the person I call my daddy, who invited me out here to Dayton, Ohio. Since 2012, I've been working on a 50-song project. I've been sharing my life story and personal insight about being a transsexual female and an American citizen and just a human being in general. So here we go. It says here, in regards to the Connecticut Wethersfield situation that happened to me at the Motel 6. If you're unfamiliar with that, because you just got to see this video, know that you can go back a few videos. I talk about it pretty frequently in my dealings with the circumstance at hand. The latest one prior to this video, hopefully, that it was uploaded, was explaining how I got my laptop computer back, finally, after all of these years. What I found out with the one person that was involved with it, his name was Zamaro. I won't give the whole entire name, but I will tell you that his name was Zamara. And here's the thing. I want to make it very clear that during this situation, as I discussed before, it didn't seem as much that he personally wanted to inflict any kind of traumatization into my life or to hurt me or anything. When John had entered into the room and then had me, he put me in handcuffs and then had me pressed up against a wall. He smacked my head into the wall. Zamara had held me for quite some time while John asked me a lot of questions like, where do I have drugs hidden? Do I have any drugs? And kept on talking about that, acting like he was bugged in his ear, that he was impersonating. So that's what this case has disclosed, is that he was impersonating an undercover police officer. In my opinion, I believe that he would then be an undercover police officer impersonating someone who's impersonating somebody who is an undercover police officer. I don't know this to be true or not, okay? Can't make that declaration. It's just that it's taken all these years for this situation to come in hand. And the greatest disappointment to all, for me, was John was let free from Wethersfield, Connecticut punishment. His warrant was, vacated. They vacated his warrant, so that way, because it was such a long term and duration since the crime was actually committed, number one, whose fault is that, do you think? And number two, because he was serving time for other reasonings. Okay, with that being said, as a victim of this situation, that is a huge disappointment, Wethersfield Police Department. Okay, I was traumatized that day, bedridden for 2 or 3 days right after that, immediately out of shock. I was shocked first. I almost committed suicide by jumping off the George Washington Bridge. I literally stopped on the bridge. Because of the traumatization alone, which caused PTSD, which is a serious condition where a person is really mentally tormented over the circumstance that happened for years, and I was bedridden, and I couldn't trust your average, just everyday police officer, even when I got pulled over. As soon as I seen a police officer in uniform, mentally, instantly, I would be put into a small element of traumatization, just out of fear of not knowing if they're going to abuse me or humiliate me or what they're going to do with me. I started seeing police officers much differently because of the two situations that happened to me as an escort, not to mention the numerous times that I really did get humiliated and made fun of by police officers just because I'm a transsexual female. And now that my mind is where it is now, I would like to challenge any one of those police officers off duty, no gun, face to face, to laugh at me in the face. Inhuman person. And I have the freedom to respond the way that a human would respond for somebody being ignorant to them. Okay, but the odds of me having the rights to be able to do that is not. My situation now with officers here in Ohio has been a great blessing. Most of them have been very, very, very kind, with the exception of one. And I posted about my driver's license on Facebook a few years ago when that happened. I got pulled over on the bridge there on Main Street in Dayton. And an officer, once he realized that I was trans, just totally responded different to me. So that was a frustrating experience. But ever since that, other officers have been very, very kind, even in Cincinnati. So in Ohio, the mentality is a lot more appreciated by somebody like me. So I just want to make that very clear. The officers are very kind to me recent years, and that means a lot. You know, deal with the crime that maybe I may have committed, but not, like breaking the law or speeding or something. But to inflict more mental pain in my life. We're here for life. We're here to live, love, and enjoy and appreciate the God-given blessing of living a beautiful life, just the life that we have. And when somebody pulls you over because you broke a law, that's a man-made law, by the way, they can either let you go or not let you go. But the truth of the matter is they don't have to inflict more pain, and by law they should not have the right to make fun of you. And none of that, nothing personal. It's not personal. It's something we could all learn from watching Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, is always be nice, officers. Until there's reason not to be nice. Always be nice. Because we don't know what that person's going through. That person might not be here 3 days later. For whatever reason, we're here to enjoy our life. Okay, with that being said, nice, officers, nice. Zamora is how I pronounce it. It might not even be a right pronunciation, so there you go. I did mention that he was a fairly good-looking person, and when he was holding me against the wall, I looked at him right in the eyes, in pain. I was in pain, and I noticed that I could tell by his look that it appeared he didn't really want to be doing what he was doing. But he was a part of it, and he was the one who ransacked my room. He went into my car, he had the keys, he took it. He always seemed to be kind of respectful to me. He never shouted anything bad. In fact, he didn't really even talk much. But it looked to me like he knew he was doing something that was completely, that he was, like he didn't want to be a part of. So in my opinion, it was a sting operation by Connecticut police force in efforts to get escorts off of Craigslist and out of the hotel rooms and stuff like that. And I have a lot of problem with the government who does not reinforce laws for life and acknowledge the fact that what they call prostitution is not prostitution at all. Okay? More people in suits and ties are prostitutes than people who are wearing lingerie and thigh-high boots and volunteering to do something in exchange for whatever. Okay? So that's the real deal. Most people just woke up and went to work today at a job they literally hate, but they're doing it anyway. That's the form of prostitution. You're prostituting against yourself, and that's that you already are innocent. you immediately are penalized for that because it hurts. You don't want to go to a job you hate, do you? No, you don't. Nobody does. So we weren't taught right on how to find our personal identity and to form a life with our desires. That's where we want to wake up every day, and for the most part, we're excited to be alive, aren't we? Most of the time. Okay, most of the time. People who have learned through life journey to do things with their passions, and that's how you survive and thrive. Well, that's usually what I found in my entertainment abilities. That's when I maximize my fullest potential, but then the law steps in. Okay? The law steps in. It's very frustrating. We need more people to stand up for our rights. If you're an escort, an adult entertainer, a stripper, or anything like that, yes. Look, Satanists target everybody. Everybody. Not just adult entertainers, not just what the world calls prostitutes. They target everybody. They watch us via satellite. They hone in on us. They're always trying to destroy relationships and destroy your life. They're not for life. They don't like life at all. Any signs of exciting life, they're going to target right away. Okay? Anything that reflects the inner shining of the Spirit of Christ, they are going to be all over, but they will do things through other people in a chain to get to humans. And they can literally, like they say the Holy Spirit lives inside of a human being, they have the means to literally be inside of other human beings. Your husband, your wife, your sisters, your daughters, your kids. They can literally be inside them. How? I don't know how. I think through electronic means, okay? Meaning via satellite. And they can literally be in somebody else and use them like a robot. And that's where like all the create arguments and get other people to steal. Have you ever heard people explain that they heard voices in their head that told them to do it? Or like a god? Chances are they were being electronically harassed, and that's real. See, the point is not, we need to get past not believing people when they talk like that and acknowledge, how could this be happening? And imagine if it happened to me. Chances are it is happening to you. They're playing with your thoughts to get you to do what they want you to do. And the Holy Bible aids and assists and helps you to break free mentally, but teachers don't teach you that. Okay? The Holy Bible is all psychological. You want freedom from the BS of people targeting your thought process and trying to give you an artificial outlook on life. Okay? That's what I've come to realize all of this is about. It shouldn't have taken me till I was in my 40s to finally really get and understand things. Okay? But when you're forced to go to school when you don't want to, you're forced to do it, and then they make it that you have to work instead of giving you a fair share of an entitlement plan that says that you can go out and buy freely, you can get what you need to get, put your life together your way, not the way that you're being brainwashed to believe it has to be put together. The bottom line is you will run into difficulty because you've been taught one way, and the truth of the matter is most of it is based off of lies. Satan is real. Satan, the dark kingdom of hell, is real, and it's here on earth. If you pay attention and read the Bible, you will learn this. That doesn't give them full entitlement over the fact that everything belongs to God. And the Holy Spirit of love is still alive and flowing, or there would not be life at all on earth. But Satanists work for their Lord that they worship, which is Satan. Which is, they do not like any signs of life. They want a submissive, enslaved humans, and believe it or not, they do anything from shortening the lifespan in humans, the overall, to just taking you off your life course that you were really intended to be on ever since you were born. Chances are by the time you were a child, a very young child, you already knew the details of what you wanted to be and do while you were pretending and playing with your toys. The kind of people you wanted to date, the kind of friends you wanted to be around, what you wanted to do with your life, the kind of car you might want to drive, all of that. Now, back to this Amara, I finally got to find out through a chain of different people of contacting through email and through phone conversations that he was given a conditional discharge for 3 years. Okay? The court will monitor him. He only had to pay an administration fee that I had anyway record of $15. I'm not sure if there were fines. It didn't appear that he was given any fines, but he may have been given fines, and he should have been given fines. Not only should have he been given fines, there should have been an attorney that communicated with me and seen to it that he pays me a financial compensation for all the mental damage that he inflicted upon me by being a part of this. Understand that I live in Dayton, Ohio. I don't live in Connecticut. I don't even know if he lives actually in Connecticut. He might not. I don't think John does. But nevertheless, an attorney by law should have communicated with me, and there should have been something that was done. In other words, money should have been gotten from him, and he should have been held accountable and paid me compensation without me fighting about it. The bottom line is, if he's guilty, if he pleads guilty, he's guilty, he pays that money to me. Okay, and payments goes directly to that police station. From that police station, it goes directly into an account for me. Okay, that's what should be done in our legal system. Why isn't it being done in 2019? The victim should not have to go above and beyond. Law enforcement should have a sound mind when they go to work, and they should have an organized police force that is for the victims, not the criminals. I have a serious problem with a lot of the legal system and the way it's ran. A lot of problem with it. Okay, I was very disappointed that that's all he got. Now, I will be admitting that the truth of the matter is I'm a very kind person. He was a part of the crime that traumatized me and brought me near death, and for years I was bedridden and I would meditate on that stuff, and it freaked me out to know that I thought they were police officers undercover, and I explained why I felt that way. Now, here's the thing. Mentally, outside of my personality snapping disorder, I have kind of gotten to the point that I'm not going to let a situation or my whole life journey of situations inflict me into a suicidal state, okay? I'm not saying that that could never happen, because I believe that my mind has always been targeted by Satanists who want you to abuse yourself, self-mutilation, all right? That's what they do to the human race. They try to get them to self-mutilate themselves. However, anyway, whatever is going to be a portion or contribute to them destroying the body, they want you out of here, period. Satanists do. Everybody, okay? They're not for life at all. They're family, what they call their family, that's it. They don't care about nobody else. And chances are they backstab each other continuously. Now, we spoke and I emailed and we mentioned about staying in touch. Now, that's with Zamara, okay? And I don't want to pick on him too much if he ever sees this video. You know, I would like to personally talk to him. It's actually not recommended by the police station. It's not recommended by anybody. But I'm convinced that they both were a target of Satanists who used satellite means. I believe that we had a chip put in us at birth. All babies, all American babies. If you have a social security number, you have a chip in you, whether you like it or not, and that's how they regulate everybody. And they can't only do that, they can actually inflict all kinds of bodily harm to you with this chip, okay? In other words, they could pretty much fry you, electrocute you from a distance. That explains what happened to me when I had seen the swirl, when I looked in that guy's penis in New Jersey. That explains the little New Jersey devil thing that attacked me the one day I was at my girlfriend's Lisa in New Jersey. That explains a lot of interaction with people that had felt like there was a spiritual thing going on where I was crossing paths with people that were in my life talking to me, and then they would disappear. Okay, if you're being watched via satellite with cameras, well, of course they can do that. They're monitoring everywhere you go. They can bring other people into you, especially if they can turn humans into like a robot temporarily. Okay, and hold their mental status in suspense for a little bit and use them, then they break free of it. And some people might say, what the heck just happened to me? If you ever had just a what just happened to me moment, it could be that your brain was hijacked temporarily and you were used by Satanists. They use other bodies. They don't use their self. In my opinion, they don't use their physical bodies to do what they can do through other people's bodies. Okay? They do what they do for their riches of their dark kingdom that they have. And if you found out, these are people that you would laugh at if you ever met them. That's a person that's inflicting all this pain in society. Yes, that's one of them. Okay? You would literally laugh at them because it would not be a person that you would perceive as being scary or harmful to you. Okay? For all kinds of reasons. I met one of these people. And I also know that they're tied in with other people in the music and entertainment industry. And I realize that I have been being targeted and harassed ever since I was born, and so are you. These are Satanists. They try to get your children early. This is why if you have a learning disorder when you're in school, chances are it's Satanists who are inflicting mental stimulation into your brain and distracting you so you can't concentrate on anything. I don't know if it's every child or if it's only a percentage of children or if it's ones they know have a holy background of people who worshiped and praised God. My family is worship leaders. All of them on my mother's side, and it goes even way back even more. They were always worship leaders, leading people in the congregation to praise God with their mouth. Satanists don't like that. I found out about John was up or is up. Oh, by the way, let me close this. Zamaro was disposed of the case. In other words, they finalized everything on December 28th, 2018. This crime happened in February, all right, the first week of February, 2009. Why do you think it took almost 9 3/4 plus? Almost took 10 years, almost 2 months shy, or a month, like 34 or 35 days shy of being 10 years to handle a case? What do you think's going on with the police departments that it would take them that long to finally have some kind of closure? That's BS. If they're short-handed people, then they need to hire staff. Don't tell me any government people that there's not enough or there's no jobs and that's why we have the homeless and the poor and stuff. That is not true. Number one, it's because Satanists are attacking the human race and have been since the beginning of time. And there's not enough people who are courageous to pass laws in favor of life of everyone. There should be no homeless. That's lack of poor leadership is what that is. And just like this, why does it take 10 years? Is it because we're short-staffed and we need to get more staff? Almost 10 years. I should calculate the days, the hours. It took that long to finally, and all he gets is 3 years with the courts monitoring him. Now, how do you think they're gonna monitor him? Do you think it's gonna be via satellite? Do you think they really care what he does? Now, as far as John goes, I was actually hoping that I could have the opportunity. I think the federal government in a situation like this should see to it that I have the means to literally fly to Vermont to meet John, to talk to him rationally, face to face. Because I would like to speak to him, because if he's not really an undercover cop, then the truth of the matter is his brain was probably hijacked most of his life, and that's why all the crimes that he committed, supposedly, that crimes that he committed. In the spirit, meaning of Christ, people don't want to commit crimes. They know they don't have to because God provides for them all their needs. When your brain is being tampered with, it will be influenced to do things in a much different manner. Because of the prayer that I had that day when I had the Bible just before they came in and I slammed it down, and then they showed up and then all that situation happened, kind of reminds me of the situation that happened over in York, Pennsylvania, where I knew in my heart I should leave York because this was not normal procedure in my line of service that I was providing for my local community in the state of Pennsylvania and abroad, the East Coast. The truth of the matter is, I noticed it within my brain. So Satanists were kind of keeping me in an oppressed state for the situation at hand to occur. And I could explain more about that if anybody ever asks. I can explain to you what it feels like when you're what I call electronically harassed, but there may be another way. Okay, we got to get into the Bible and acknowledge that Satanists are real, okay? But they don't have power over us unless we let them. Christ is the almighty power, and God loves all humans. Satanists are only a small portion if they're in human form at all. We don't know that. The true Satanists, the demons, In other words, they're indestructible. And they're like hellions. They like to create issues, problems with humans in general, with all life forms, anything that's of a life. Now here's the thing, check this out. So I spoke to this lady, and I don't know, I think her name is it Jessica, up in Vermont. She was supposed to, and this was in November 16th, 2018. I spoke and I emailed her, and she mentioned about staying in touch because it would take some time to work through their facility setup, if you will, to be able to find out if it would be possible for me to whether write him a letter or send a video, which I think would be a good idea, or a phone conversation, okay? A meeting face to face, whether it be in court or with with police officers so things don't get out of hand. In order to have closure with this, and helping, aiding a victim, she said that was not unheard of. Like, they've done this before in the past several times, and they are supportive of it. However, she did mention that in the prison that he was in, that he was put up on what they would consider a very dangerous level, meaning evidently he's pretty evil of a person. Now, here's the thing. Maybe he is evil, maybe he's not. Maybe the Satanists are actually playing with his thought process, and that's the way that he's dealing with it, being penned up. I also heard that he had some health problems, and from what I've learned myself is that these Satanists can literally, kind of what it feels like is an electrocution, like a very mild, which causes sensations of inflammation in your. In fact, I myself got diagnosed at Take Two Healthcare here in Dayton, Ohio, with high volumes of inflammation. Okay? That's part of the process of them beaming shit at my head. And the one day it felt like they were literally sizzling my brain. Like I could smell an awful smell. And there's nothing that I can do. I don't know how to shield myself against it. I don't know how to protect myself. I remembered and I reflected back on different relationships of my ancestors that I spoke to, and I've learned that chances are they were under attack by Satanists too. This electronics has been around, or whatever measure they use, for my whole life and beyond. Okay, they're using the same methods. It's transferring of energy of some sort. And they do it, you can see, if you pay attention, you can see like a white laser light. There's like three circles of it. And it'll pass by once in a while like a swooping motion. Like it's a big laser ball, like a disco ball or something in outer space or above, farther out than we can actually see, like so many feet off the ground. It might not even be in outer space, okay? But it swoops down and you can see it once in a while. It'll reflect off of like plastics, clear plastic. It'll reflect, sometimes you can literally see it happen out of your eyes. And here's the thing, when you're doing your cards and all that other stuff, they can literally see, by communicating this into your brain, they can literally see through your own eyeballs. So they know all your passwords online. They know all your secret codes to any cards that you have. They know your social security number. They know everything that you do, as if they can somehow retrieve information as though they're actually inside your body, okay? That's how serious this is. But people gotta snap out of it because they will not just believe something like this could possibly be real. How could they see through my eyeballs? I don't know the details. That's something that could leave you in a search for years. But something tells me there's people out there, if they pick up the Bible and read it, they might be the ones who acknowledge it's in my true heart's desire to pinpoint exactly how they're doing this and where they're hiding at while they're doing it, okay? I can tell you from my experience, I believe they're living along the coastlines and the edges of the country in case they need to flee the country to other countries that are beside the United States, like Canada, okay? They live on the water's edge because in the time that they would be a cover and people would be heading in to get them, they would just flee to the other country, okay? In other words, they have homes all over the planet, and if they ever need to flee, that's what they do when the heat is on. Now, here's the thing. She was very, very nice to me up in Vermont. She told me She helped me to register so I could get updates of his whereabouts, whether or not he was released, if he's going to another prison. In other words, as a victim, I have the right legally to know where this person is at all times, so I can stay my distance. Okay? Now, here's the things, and be aware, whether he's out and about or whether he's locked up, then at least I know where he is, right? Now, here's the thing. She was very kind to me, and she mentioned about helping me, and then I actually called her and I left a voicemail, and she never got a hold of me. I called in the beginning of December, which would have been just about a month later, almost a month. And then I called again near the end of the month of December, and there was no voicemail at first that said that she was on vacation, but then I called another time, and I did raise my voice a little bit because I get frustrated when people in the legal system don't respond to my calls within a reasonable time, like 48 hours. All right, 2 or 3 days, in my opinion, to give them time to make time. See, this isn't their home life where they just get back to people like we all do whenever we feel like it. Meaning when we feel like it's a good time to call for ourselves. The truth of the matter is, it's their office job. And they need to prioritize and they need to get on the ball or put somebody else in their place that will call back people. Or if they need assistance, they need to hire somebody else to be a personal assistant and call back for them. There's a part-time job, government. All right, we don't have to all be unemployed. Okay, so I'm going to try to stay in touch with her about that. In my opinion, that's a real television show there. It would be interesting to find out if he felt that he was being harassed mentally. Mentioned arranging, to be able to talk, or what would be best? Would it be better for me? What do you think? Do you think it would be better for me to write a letter? Do you think it would be better for me to call him and speak on the phone? Do you think it would be better for me maybe to Skype? Do you think it would be better for me to actually make a video? What would your approach be? Would you require and think it would be more respectful that the government actually pay for a personalized flight? Okay, don't you think their victim should receive first class like a private jet or something? And he'd fly, and then there would be police officers there protecting you, protecting him too, and letting you speak with him maturely. Do you think it should be done in a courtroom with the judge? Just in case things would get out of hand and the judge could press more charges against the person? What do you think should be done? Do you think this should be a television show? Because many people were affected with the Craigslist, okay? And don't be surprised if somebody like the Craigslist serial killer was not mentally hijacked by Satanists. Mentally hijacked. In other words, they created the Craigslist serial killer. And I don't want to hurt anybody, but I'm being honest. We look at the physical as though it's that person who did it. But we need to get on the other side of things. What inflicted those sick thoughts to manifest in the head? Because in Christ, we don't want to hurt other people, okay? The obsessiveness with things of the earth that are harmful to ourselves and to the lives of others, in my opinion, is inflicted by the kingdom of Satan. Satanist, who can literally turn people into human robots, which means they could use somebody like the Craigslist serial killer to go kill people. But it's not really his own thought process. In other words, his brain was hijacked. It's not that he's possessed. It's that they literally can jolt your brain via satellite and get you to do what they want you to do. You have to be aware that your thought process, the truth as to who you are, and you choose who you are, by the way. That's why it's best to read the Bible and surrender, understand what God created you for, to love yourself, to love others, to worship Jesus, to worship God. Your way of life is worship. To hug and be gentle. When you start doing the other things in life, or there's a taunting to do something that's off track from love, chances are that Satan is trying to persuade you and get you off that life pathway of love. They don't want you worshiping Jesus. They don't want you serving others in your local community and abroad, your country, your government. Okay, they don't want you doing this with the right heart, meaning a healthy heart of love. They don't like love. During the time of the Craigslist serial killer, that I was an escort. And I remember how that impacted me because one of the hotels just right down from where I stayed in Rhode Island is where one of the attempts were. And I just remember that I was pretty close myself, okay, because I was in the areas of things like that happening. Now here's the thing, you start to realize that there was a major crackdown on escorting. Now why is that? It's not even prostitution, okay? Number one, it's Satanists who like to attack and lead people into self-mutilation, into even far worse circumstances because they perceive them as being lonely and outcasted. And because the law is also against them mentally, this puts them in a very scary predicament. And it's easy to target for Satanists. And if I shared my life story, Satanists targeted me when I was an escort, like really bad, to the point that they tried to get me to drink blood and stuff that I was explaining about. So it's very important, no matter if you're an escort or an adult entertainer, you need emotional support. There are people who are okay and understand that you're living life. Might be your circumstances, it might not be. Maybe it's by choice that you really want to, and maybe your circumstances are very difficult, so that's how you ended up doing it. Know that there's people that would be there for you that won't judge you because what you're doing. In fact, they will be positive inspiration to you to keep you strong during the times that you are, all right? Who understand that you're a human being and that you're doing the best you can in this life. But there are Satanists out there, and they do psychological games, and they make phone calls, and they make little sounds to try to put you into a trance, and then they try to lead you to places like, especially like in Las Vegas, especially California, especially like New York. They'll stalk you. It's all about self-mutilation and trying to get you to kill yourself or just self-mutilate yourself. That they don't physically touch you, okay? In most situations, they would have to lead you into a place where they could actually get away with doing that, into a dungeon overseas or something like that. They won't touch you when they know, especially when they know that you have a circle of connections of other people. It's very important that you have an emotional support group, that they know where you are and it's okay, for you to speak about what it is you're going through. That's what keeps you strong. And you don't have to commit suicide. You don't have to jump off bridge. That's what they try to twist your thoughts to do, especially when tragedy happens to you. That's what happened to me. That's what happened on the bridge. That's what they were trying to do. They do it from a distance with technology. They try to get you to jump over the bridge, jump over the bridge. Life isn't worth living. They want you gone. A lot of times it's because you have something that they want, a possession. Are you a songwriter? Are you a creator? Okay? Do you know information they don't want you to know? There's reasons why they want to remove people. And it's usually because they've been invading their privacy and then found out there's something that they either don't want that person involved in, or there's something that person has in their possession that they want. They're very, very corrupted. Hello. I am really excited. Just went to the restroom over here at the park, one of my favorite ones. Not Eastwood. I have to get the name again when I go over there. It's one with the blue stage where I did for those too weak to stand. It's a beautiful park. I'm hoping to do my winter video, probably in this area, and then I'll capture some other areas, scenes. Like maybe at the church that I first went to, maybe over at Catherine's original apartment complex. Okay, so here we go. I filed a Dayton police report because I have realized that there was an entrance into my apartment without approval by me, and management at where I live, they claim that they did not enter in. I am under the assumption that actual legal documents were taken from my apartment filing cabinet. Okay, I already talked about this, not going to talk about that again, but I am going to let you know that I was really excited in the fact that an officer came to my apartment. I submitted my verbal report that he noted down, but there was lack of information that was explained and also not on the tip of my mind in that moment. and also there were some things misworded in my opinion. Now, with that being said, in both the writing of his report and also out of my mouth because of me being a little bit nervous about what had happened. With this being said, I'm not putting fault on nobody. The officer was very kind. He did make the report. I got a copy of the report, and at the police station, I noticed this, the lack of information and etc., things that should have been put onto it after I reviewed it. I realized that, and I'm going to recommend to you what I would do whenever wanting to fill out a report, file a report with a police station. In my opinion, a citizen should be able to go in writing, sit down with somebody on duty, explain this is what happened and I wrote out the report. Okay, they might not necessarily even need to come to the apartment, but it might be helpful if they want to take pictures or whatever they would need to do. Either way, they come to the apartment or you go there. And then that report should be made that I could go to the clerk's office and get a copy of the police report and verify that it was indeed put onto the report. Now, here's the thing. When the officer did that, he did make the report, and I did go in, I got a copy of the report. That's when I realized I need to include additional notes of some errors, some corrections, if you will, and some missed information that I wished that I would have given to the officer. What I found out in the long run, number one, I couldn't get in contact with the officer directly for whatever reason, I could not. But I did speak to other very kind officers in Dayton Police Station, and they gave me information to speak with a lady that actually handles the reports. When I contacted her and gave her the information, she was kind, and she made the update, but she couldn't put it on the actual report. She made the report, filed it on the police officer that took the original report onto his account. So it was verified there. Now here's the thing. You and I can't go to the police station and receive that report by the means that we can receive the other reports. This, in my opinion, is unjust. It's not for life, okay, by any means. This information that I submitted is a continual of the first report, and therefore, by law, should be included onto the actual report that I made. And I should be able to go into the police station many times, so long as I'm willing to pay to have it, print it out, to verify that it's still on record, it's still on report. So the inclusion, the update of my report that I sent to this lady, okay, what she did is she put it on this officer's report, but she couldn't put it on the actual report because it was already submitted, which is a bunch of BS, not by her, by law. It is a bunch of BS. Okay, this needs to be changed quickly. With that being said, then she emailed me a copy, and I'm very grateful that she did, because I found out later on that when she typed this information in, she made a few type errors, okay? Obviously, she's very busy. She has a lot to do. She took the time to do what I requested, and I'm very grateful for that. There was a few type errors, and I wrote her. I felt bad to do it, okay? Because I understand office work is not for me, and I know that, when there's an overrush in your position, you do the best you can, and it happens. And so I just wanted to point it out and ask her when she had time if she would do that and I could get a copy of the new update. She made the time. She didn't get a hold of me. It took me time to get a hold of her again. And finally, she did contact me after I left a disgusting voicemail, meaning I was disgusted and expressed my upsetness in the fact that I did not hear back from her. She finally did send me an email, and she said she made the corrections, but she could not forward me a copy. That was very disappointing to me. It was also very disappointing to me to know that this was not put on a police record. By law, in my opinion, it should be. And therefore, in my opinion, the police station should be sued, because it should be public record for the person who comes there and says, I have the number, I have the information, I want the report. I want to witness that it was put on. I have Satanists targeting me. They are working within the police stations, okay? They don't work in it necessarily with the people that are there physically. They get into your thought process. They go into computers. They alter information. They change things. They're connected to anything that's on the computer, anything in life they can get into, okay? Be aware of this, police officers. If you ever notice things within your computer, you didn't delete it by mistake. It could be that they just went into your files and they deleted it for themselves. Satanists do whatever Satanists want. And they're not afraid of the law, they're not afraid of anyone. They do their dirty deeds in darkness. Okay, meaning you don't see them most likely. The demonic ones, we don't see in a physical. They have other ways of doing things. So now, I ended up going back in there, and the lady said there was no inclusion of these notes. I went and I wanted to talk to the chief of police or somebody that was on duty within that higher rank, that I could just make sure, was this really done? Was she being honest with me? Because I didn't even know if it was her, because this was through email. And understand that these people have direct access to email accounts. They know passwords. They can look in a police station, they can look right through your eyeballs. They can see your screen. They know when you're home, when you're making love to your wife or your partner. They're right there with you if they want to be. Okay, this is real. Are you experiencing like what appears to be more issues because of maybe a case that you were working on and you realized maybe I better let this go? These are Satanists who are invading your privacy, and they do it via satellite, and they have electronic means, and it's through energy transfer, and I don't know what else they do. But you would notice if you pay close attention to little laser lights every once in a while, they're white in appearance. They make like a motion, like a sweeping, and then they disappear. In my opinion, it's how they adjust the laser that can go indefinite, I guess, of some sort of light, and they adjust it back that they can get right into your brain. I think they put a chip in us at birth. Not in the front of the head, in the back of the head. By the membrane, if that's what you will. I'm not 100% sure how it's all done. Okay, I have a bump back here, and I remember telling my mom when I moved into town, which would have been right around the time I was at a hospital, Good Samaritan Hospital in Lebanon, I pointed out that I had a bump on my head. It's still there, okay? Didn't grow, same size, it's rock hard almost. It's firm, okay? It may or may not be an actual chip. I need to talk to a doctor. I have other doctor's appointments I'm gonna go to and talk. The truth of the matter is, I asked a doctor years ago, and I also pointed out to my mom, and they said it was most likely a mole of some sort, or it appears to be like a mole. Well, it might not be a mole. It may actually be a chip inside my head. Okay, now I wish somebody goddamn take me seriously when I'm talking. Just a simple removal of that chip might be able to prevent them from a lot of the harm that they've been doing into my life for years. Stalking me, trying to lead me to death. Okay, again, they do their deeds from a distance because they have technology. Now, with that being said, a lady was kind enough to report minor errors. I went in and I talked to a person in the office, a higher rank, and I have this information at home. I'm not going to give it out at this time. He was very, very kind to me. He was patient. He took care of it, printed it out, and he came to show me. It is on record with the actual police officer's account who took the information. Now, I don't want to start trouble. I'm being honest. That updated information by law should be on a report that I literally can print out there at the police station for my own records. It should not be kept hidden, okay? This information was very valuable in the fact that I have been being stalked by Satanists who have entered into my home, who have been stalking me for years, maybe since the day I was born, okay? Listen to my life story. It's real. I am not psychopathic or crazy. So it's not on public record, only on the officer's report. I want you to know that in Dayton Police, they were all very, very nice to me. But I found it kind of weird that the lady that I originally submitted the report, she gave me a copy of it the first time. The second time when I showed her that there were some errors, she didn't want to do it the second time. Now, in my opinion, she may have come into the acknowledgement that maybe she's being monitored very closely and shouldn't do that, or over the fact that maybe they just altered her thoughts, and they can do that to people. They can literally, that's how, if anybody ever seems to be favorable to you 1 second and all of a sudden completely different the next, that's what it is, because that's the way my daddy was. That's the way my household was that I lived with in Huber Heights. I couldn't understand how they could be loving, very loving, and then all of a sudden completely opposite of what they promised and said. Okay? Satanist. Same thing that happened when I ended up waking up to somebody chanting